Banks and fiat money versus Ethereum and crypto. Should you trust NFTs and cryptocurrencies? Are they a safe decentralized financial and banking system? Are NFTs and crypto inflation recession-proof? Is the world economy becoming a two-tier system, both centralized and decentralized? Stay tuned to find the right answers. Welcome to the World Econ News. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and hit the notification button to get updates and information about the latest international economic news items. I'll give you a heads up about the endless new financial opportunities that are reshaping the world economy and the internet. Don't ignore new big hits and major global changes in the financial system and markets as well as the internet, because if you did, you might end up not just losing money or some value of your assets, but you could also end up missing out on some seriously lucrative financial opportunities and the chance to be a maker and creator. The whole thing about decentralized financing, crypto, NFTs, and blockchain is not new, and there's a huge buzz about it. How much information do you have about these things? And do you understand what's really happening and the true future value of these assets? The answer's probably no, unless you're an expert and already making some money from NFTs, the internet, crypto, and decentralized financing. So allow me to enlighten you and empower you with some info about the current centralized global financial system in comparison to the new and growing Web3 and decentralized global financial system. Please rest assured that I have filtered all the info and research, consulted the experts, and I'm definitely not selling you some mere opinion. Ready? Okay, let's go. So let's start with some info about fiat money, such as the paper and coin money you have in your pockets. Yes, the legal name for legal tender currency is fiat money. The term fiat is derived from the Latin word fiat, which means something with a value that is determined by an authority such as a government. Hence, fiat money is something issued and controlled by the government. The first known examples of paper currency, as we would understand it today, were created in China about 1,000 years ago. Money back then was promissory notes such as a jiaozi. Paper money in the United States dates back to the 1690s. Back then, it represented bills or credits, or IOUs. In 1861, a new paper currency, the dollar, was introduced. The current entire global economy and financial systems are based on the central banking model. The most important central bank in the world is the U.S. Federal Reserve, also known as the Feds. It's important because all commodities in all exchanges on Earth and the export of almost everything, especially precious metals like oil and gas and commodities in general, are conducted in U.S. dollars, which is the reason why every single government in the world maintains a large reserve of U.S. dollars. Meanwhile, almost all big companies also do the same. Keep in mind here that every country has its own central bank and to some extent maintains the same financial structure and policies as that of the US Feds. They also maintain large reserves of gold bars. The Federal Reserve System was created by Congress to be self-financed and therefore is not subject to the congressional budgetary process. In this way, the Feds is considered to be independent within government. Self-financed means it was created and financed by private big banks. Look, I have to tell you something important here. The US government and pretty much all other governments around the world insist that central banks are not owned by anyone and are not private. However, thousands of very renowned scholars and experts strongly disagree, and they have written numerous detailed books about the subject. It's a very touchy subject because the Feds and its 12 branches are by law not obligated to give any info to anyone about the private shareholders who financed them and are responsible for selecting the boards of directors. Under the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, each of the 12 regional reserve banks of the Federal Reserve System are owned by its member banks, who originally ponied up the capital to keep them running. It's nearly impossible to obtain any info from any of the 12 Fed Reserve banks about who really owns them. However, the New York Fed Reserve branch did give some info. It identified private banks such as Citibank, JP Morgan Chase, Morgan Stanley Private Bank, Goldman Sachs, Bank of New York Mellon, HSBC, Deutsche Bank Trust Company, America's Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, and the Mitsui Financial Group are among its top shareholders. The first four banks on the list own more than 60% of the New York Federal Reserve shares. The President of the USA indeed selects the Fed's Board of Governors. However, each branch has its own board of directors, and they're all selected by the shareholders, aka the big commercial banks, in a very secretive process. Look, this isn't the topic, okay, so please don't go on a rampage trying to figure out the Feds and central banks. I can assure you it will not be financially rewarding, and you don't want to be excluded from the wealth network. But you can do something better. Beat them at their game by joining the global blockchain, NFTs, cryptos, and DeFi craze. Not only will you be diversifying your portfolio, but you'll be one of more than 500 million people from around the world who are creating a global decentralized banking and financial system, and a whole new internet. In either case, you should join and make money, and by the way, your participation might contribute to keeping it decentralized and fair for all. Alright, let's move on to the exciting stuff. Now, before I start about NFTs and crypto, allow me to introduce you to the unique blockchain technology that is used to decentralize everything and possibly make Web3 possible. Blockchain is all about peer-to-peer transactions, sharing, transfers of ownership, connecting communities, and so much more. It was not invented by Satoshi Nakamoto in 2008 because all he did was mix the public key cryptography, which was invented in the 1970s, and the cryptographic hash functions, which were invented also in the 1970s, and the proof of the work system, which was invented in the 1990s. Satoshi Nakamoto is still a freaking legend, though, because he had a vision and was able to mix all three to create a free, secure, democratic, decentralized financial system. What does all this technical stuff mean? I'll explain it to you in a comprehensive yet very simple manner. A blockchain is a software like no other software. Any group of skilled programmers can create a blockchain, then release it into the wild for anyone, anywhere who wants to use it. Once it's released, it becomes a network or database, to be more specific. The blockchain, aka decentralized database, is by nature stored on hundreds to tens of thousands of computers and personal servers of the people, aka miners and volunteers, who use it for mining or proof of work and authenticating transactions, meaning people who make money from it by keeping it secure, hack-proof, and by approving the transactions by the users. The miners, who are in it for financial rewards, and the volunteers, who are in it for the sake of freedom, democracy, and humanity, are a community, and you can join them. It's important to note that the original programmers, miners, and volunteers cannot tamper with the blockchain transactions and records, not even remotely, because a blockchain is a time-sensitive series of interconnected blocks on which a transaction or proof of ownership of something are recorded. The fact that it's interconnected means merely attempting to tamper with one block or a record on it, which will cause the entire network to reject the attempted tampering or hacking. The volunteers and miners also have tools to block out any party that tries to screw around with the blockchain. So is it safe? Damn right it is, but nothing is 100% secure online. However, it's getting to the 100% level. Now listen, your cryptocurrency and NFT transactions will be safe when you're using a platform that takes fees, because these platforms are not gatekeepers, they're merely access points, and the blockchain by nature is designed to not allow the platforms to have any control or oversight over you, nor over the transactions or the blockchain itself. They're also free wallets that you can download from the blockchain foundations and organizations' websites. These wallets make your smartphone or laptop a vault of sorts. Okay, but which blockchain seems the most promising of all as a global decentralized network for everything? The answer is Ethereum blockchain, which has a pretty interesting history and has evolved into a real threat to the private, unfair, unjust, undemocratic, privatized, and controlled centralized global financial system. In 2013, Vitalik Buterin conceived the original Ethereum concept. In 2015, the Ethereum platform was launched by Buterin and Joe Lubin, founders of the blockchain software company Consensus. Relax, they're software developers, not owners and gatekeepers. I already explained why earlier. So why is the Ethereum blockchain network so unique? Well, the Ethereum blockchain goes way beyond just enabling the secure trading of virtual currency. It's very decentralized. There are more than 12,000 volunteers contributing their computing power and skills to the Ethereum network. There are also several online communities, organizations, and foundations which are dedicated to welcoming, educating, and empowering anyone from anywhere, including businesses, to become part of the Ethereum network, which, by the way, they already started calling Web3. Here is what they say on the website ethereum.org. Ethereum is a technology that's home to digital money, global payments, and applications. The community has built a booming digital economy, bold new ways for creators to earn online, and so much more. It's open to everyone wherever you are in the world. All you need is the internet. Go ahead, join, learn, contribute, and earn. More than 500 million people from around the globe are already trading cryptocurrencies and all sorts of NFTs. Both the crypto and NFTs global market are worth more than $3 trillion and rising. These figures, the facts, and what informed experts are saying all should encourage you to diversify your portfolio, become your own central bank, and secure your copyrights for anything, all the while making money from Web3 without a middleman and gatekeeper. So that's it for this video. Farewell, be cool, and stay freaking positive. And if you'd like to stay updated and informed about the latest international economic news topics, hit the subscribe and bell icons. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.